Hello, hello. We are back with episode 6 of Weddings Unscripted. And today we're going to be talking about some tough lessons in business. We thought it might be fun to share some of the times in our own businesses where things weren't really going so swimmingly.
Yeah, we're not always perfect.
No, definitely not. And kind of what we learned from them. So yeah, how about Ginny, you get to start.
Yes. I mean, first of all, people think Kristin and I always have our stuff together.
No.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
No.
We just know how to make our stuff in organized chaos.
Exactly.
So probably one of my first tough lessons of business, I would say, is not planning ahead and that having a direct result and not preparing for growth. Just kind of in the sense of getting overwhelmed quicker than expected because I wasn't planning. You know, I feel like when you're a new business owner, you're just kind of going and going and going, and you hope to one day grow the business. But you're not, how are you going to grow if you're not planning to grow? So like not having systems in place and, you know, things like that. And then all of a sudden just being completely in the weeds and inundated with all the things to where you can't breathe. So I would say that's a big lesson that I learned. I wish I learned it earlier on, but I'm fine. I finally feel like I've got a handle on like owning that and planning ahead, mapping things out much further in advance.
Then like, what am I doing today? And thinking of that in the morning.
Right, exactly.
That's a good one. All right,
What
so
about you, Kristin?
mine's kind of similar to that, but I think just a little different sort of twist on it. Probably one of my biggest sort of tough lessons was, I think when we all first start off, like you want all the business, like you're not going to say no to anybody. You're like, oh, you're going to pay me? I'm going to do whatever you need for your wedding. Like that sounds good. And so it was probably my second or third, maybe my third year planning. That was the year I had like 30 weddings. Like it was something astronomical. And at the time it was, again, it's like, yeah, it's like that growth thing. You're like, oh great, all these people are booking me. That's awesome. But like, you don't think ahead of like, what does working with 30 couples at one time look like?
Yeah. What does mapping out 30 weddings look like?
It basically meant I had no time. I was constantly just feeling behind in everything. I felt like I couldn't get ahead of what my clients were needing because there was just so many of them. And I was getting like details confused from different weddings because
your client experience was major
problem at that time. Because I was trying to juggle all these clients and trying to just do way too many weddings. And I was just not realistic with myself about how many clients I could reasonably handle and give amazing quality service to. And it took that year of being super burned out. That was probably one of the first times I ever like thought I was going to like hang up my hat and be like, I can't do this.
Done.
Way too hard. I'm not sleeping. I'm working 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week. This is crazy. What have I gotten myself into? But really I just had to get some better perspective and realize like, A, it was time to raise my prices. And I didn't have to work with all the people. And it was okay to just be like, I want to do 12 weddings a year. Like that's my number. And that's fine. You don't have to take all the clients.
Right. And that really ties into knowing your value and pricing what you're worth. Because if you're not doing those two things, then you have no choice but to take 30 weddings.
Take all the weddings.
You could have never charged what you charged back then and only taken 12.
Exactly. So that was probably my first big one. It was completely burning myself out one year because I was trying to do way too many weddings.
Oh, raise your hand if you guys have ever gotten burnout. Hello. Yeah.
Yep. So what's another one of yours?
Being afraid to let go and being held back by that.
Ooh, so like give me some specifics. What did you have to let go of?
So I feel like we have to do a whole episode on this, so we're not going to go into it now. But as some of you may know, my first business was the Wedding Concierge. So it was a VA firm for wedding pros, plus it was an international wedding blog. And that's really kind of where I got my start in the wedding industry. And it was my baby, but I outgrew it. And I knew that I outgrew it, but yet I still couldn't let go of it. And I tried for so long to juggle 3 businesses when really my heart was only in 2. And as Kristin knows, like, it took me I literally had to hire someone to literally help me through this decision-making process, because it was but as soon as I did it, like, I was free.
You felt so good when you realized.
I felt so good. And I had this time and this energy to pour into things like Wedding Business Bosses and being able to only, like, truly focus on my brand strategy clients and growing our Wedding Business Bosses community and pouring into our academy students. And it's not that I didn't love my first business. I'll always be grateful for how I got my start and all of my clients that I worked with. But it just, it's so funny. I actually got a wedding submission this morning in my email.
Really?
And I hadn't gotten one in so long because I've not been taking submissions for almost a year now. And, and so I had to, like, reply and say, we're no longer taking submissions, and it was kind of bittersweet, but, it felt so good.
Yeah.
To know that that's not holding me back, but it did hold me back for probably a solid year. And it really meant that I was burnt out. I was overwhelmed. I was overworked. I was trying to manage pieces to 3 businesses, Instagrams for 3. And it was just
a lot.
It was just a lot.
Yeah. If your heart's not in something or some aspect of your business, let it go.
Yeah. So we got to do a whole episode on that, and
yes,
you letting go of weddings.
Yes, that actually would be a great episode.
You've not talked about a lot.
No. So yeah, we can go like an episode all about why I'm currently on hiatus from weddings and why Ginny, the decision-making process that led up to you giving up the wedding concierge.
Yeah. And then we can have someone guest star and sing, Let It Go.
Yeah.
Do you have 2? You have 2 little people?
I think I know 2 little girls who really know that song well.
All right. So we got it set up. So yeah, that's definitely a tough lesson that I wish I wouldn't have sat on for an entire year.
This is true. That was a long time.
Kristin's like, just let it go already.
Yes.
Girl. She didn't say that, but she wanted to.
I wanted you to, like, get to that place on your own with it, not just like, because Kristin told me to, I have to do this.
Right. Yeah. So thanks for being such a good partner. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
So what is another one for you?
My next one that was, I feel like I haven't really had this issue lately, but I feel like a lot of people in the wedding industry had this as we start to grow teams and start to, realize we can't do it all. I've just made some not smart hiring decisions.
That was the next one too.
Oh, really?
Combine it. It's right here on my list.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of go into the trust thing, but I think for me too, it was like, I didn't understand that concept of, you can't force people to do stuff that they're not necessarily just intrinsically great at, or that isn't their passion. Because I would have some of these, assistants and stuff, and they'd all be like, oh, give me more to do, or I want to be responsible for more. And so I'd be like, great, I need help with this. And it was like social media or whatever. And I'd be like, hey, you can do that, right? But if that person is not passionate about social media, or that's not their thing, guess what? They're probably not going to be that great at it.
Right.
And so I just got in this bad habit of trying to just, like, put butts in seats in my business, instead of putting, like, the right butts in the right seats.
Right.
And
hiring more for purposeful roles.
Right. And not just because I need this thing done, hey, someone do it.
I've totally been there.
And that led to a lot of, why isn't this working? Why can't this, this should be seamless, and stuff's not getting done the way I want it. And it was because I wasn't hiring the right people. I was just letting anyone I could find in my business do stuff that wasn't a great fit.
Right.
So I think that's kind of was my big one, but I'd like to hear more about your perspective on that.
So I definitely agree with hiring in roles. And I think as someone who's been a former VA and owned a company like that, it really, when I started out, I offered, like, all the things, wedding submissions and blogs and Instagram curation and all of that stuff. And clients would constantly want more, like, oh, I'm going out of town. Can you manage my inbox for 2 weeks? And, things like that. And then I quickly realized there were things that I didn't excel at. There were things I didn't love. And as soon as I eliminated those things, that is when that business flourished.
Mm-hmm.
And people really respected the fact that my team and I focused on certain areas and that we didn't just take on all the things because we didn't want to be a one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really, really important to think about. And now that I am on the other end of more so the business owner and we hire team members to help us in our businesses,
Mm-hmm.
I am very aware of, don't just hire one person to do all the things. Hire people for what they excel at, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what's most important. Now,
Yep.
I have had issues where, it's hard to find people that you really trust in your business.
Yep.
And I just had a conversation with Ashley Cox about this last week. So for those of you that don't know her, so she's an HR specialist for creative entrepreneurs. So if you're looking to hire, go check her out. And, she really coaches people through the hiring process and things like that. But, what she can't do is she can't force you to trust someone. You have to do that on your own. So, just really making sure that you take the time to find the right fit. And I've been in a position where I've brought people in my business that maybe I was too trustworthy with, and I kind of learned not to just be so giving
Mm-hmm.
so quickly, to kind of let them work up to that, to earn that trust. I'm not saying
never give that trust.
Right. Yeah. It's just taking it. So your business is important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to start slow instead of just unlocking the vault for everything.
Let me teach you everything today.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that is probably a big, tough lesson that, I know now that I didn't know then.
Yeah. Take it slow. You don't have to give away the farm to your employees or anybody else in the first week. You can make them work and earn that trust and that responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any others?
One more. So I really had an issue for the first quite a few years of my business with the whole ideal client thing. Again, it was, I never wanted to say no to people.
I thought everybody knew what their ideal client was.
Oh, yeah.
Kristin?
Just instantly, just know it right from the beginning. Yeah. And I know obviously everybody really struggles with this, especially when you're newer, but it just took me a while to really understand who I wanted to be working with and to not be afraid to say no to people that weren't the best fit. And, especially in weddings where it's such an emotionally charged day and you're dealing with very difficult personalities often as it is, if you see red flags in the beginning process and the sales
wait till she's in her dress.
Yeah, exactly. It's only going to get worse. So there was a lot of clients that I definitely see those red flags and not care, want all the business, want the paycheck anyway. And then be like, why is this turning into a nightmare situation on, leading up to wedding day? And it was like, oh, well, if I just trusted my intuition and really understood a little bit earlier in my business, who were the clients I wanted to be working with, and to not worry about saying no to everybody else and just really strive for those clients and make room for those clients kind of mentally and everything else. And not don't be afraid to turn the paycheck down. Cause it's not worth it in the end. It's not, I promise.
At the end of the day, you're not making the money that you thought you were making when you brought them on, because you can just shred that in half because you were putting in double time.
So much more time. And there was many times, where I would say to myself, I am not paid enough for this. Yeah. And it was always those ones I look back and be like, I feel like there were warning signs here.
Yeah.
I feel like I should.
They were signs.
I should have listened to them. So that's kind of my last big tough lesson was, really understanding who the clients were that I wanted to be working with and not being afraid to say no to people that did not fit that description.
Right.
So what else have you got?
Well, mine goes hand in hand with wasting time.
Ooh.
And that is not having workflow, not even knowing what a workflow was. Raise your hand if you didn't even know what a workflow was. And then when you learned it, it was just life-changing. So
like,
if you don't know what a workflow is, go learn it and
go figure it out.
But you know, just sitting here and wasting so much time day in and day out of doing the same task over and over and over again for every single client, and then realizing this could be automated and the client can still get the experience.
Yeah.
You know, that I don't need to physically send the same email to every single client and
manually.
write it manually. So that was a big aha moment that I really wish I would have had from.
Like, I would have saved a lot of time.
Day negative 365. You know, like before I even dreamed about a business, I should have had a workflow.
Yeah. Take the time to put that in place early. And I think it is one of those things you think, like, because you're just so focused in the beginning on getting business, getting work. It's not something you think about. Like, no, if I stop and like make workflows and systems and processes and take that time in the beginning, I'm going to save a lot of time.
But it's not only because it gives you that time back, but sorry guys, it's a little late.
It's late when we were recording.
Late for me. I'm
like
tired. I'm pregnant. What do you want? Okay, I'm yawning. But it's not necessarily even the time waster, but when you aren't doing tedious tasks in your business, it allows you to do the work that you're passionate about.
That's true.
And then that allows you to be inspired to create more things that you're passionate about. Versus if I'm just sitting here worried about my invoicing system and writing all these emails, then I feel like more of an admin in my business than a business owner, the creator, a brand strategist, you know, a biz mentor, a teacher in our community. Like, I don't have time to create things that our students and our clients need if I'm just spending all my day spinning my wheels. So you have to really think about it like that.
Yeah, it gives you more time to do whatever the part of your business that you're passionate about, whether you're a wedding photographer, it gives you more time to focus on your photography and your creativity. Same with if you're an event designer, like you can pour that time into the part you like, which is creating gorgeous events rather than...
You're a cake maker. You can just make all new flavors.
You can do so much stuff that you enjoy and not the stuff that drags you down, that can be automated and can have a workflow behind it.
So I have a fun question for you that's completely not related and I just thought of.
Go.
Other than a wedding planner.
Ooh.
If you could be anything in the wedding industry.
Oh, that's hard.
And like you just automatically have the skills. Like it's not something you have to learn. Like you're magically like poof, you're talented at it. What would your role be in the wedding industry?
Honestly, the first thing that just came into my head was part of a wedding band. If I could actually sing like that well, I think that would be so fun. I think I just love so many of the bands that we work with, and they always seem to be having so much fun. And if I was a gifted singer and gifted musician, I can play piano, but not that well.
I would just be your backup dancer.
There you go. Like, gonna have our own wedding band.
That's right. We'll go on tour.
It just looks like so much fun.
You know, and with the lights and the glitzy dresses.
What about you, as someone who's never, hasn't had, well, you got to just this past weekend assist on a wedding.
I would not be a makeup artist. Sorry.
So what vendor category intrigues you the most that you would want to be?
Oh gosh.
So you didn't think I was going to turn this question back?
Probably a videographer.
Ooh.
If I was like automatically just woke up and had the skills, because I feel like capturing someone's story and being able to be a storyteller and to deliver that they can look at, and it's really just timeless.
That makes perfect sense for your personality.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I just like, I could cry about it thinking. So like one of our students, Sarah, and then she's one of my clients. I'm like, gosh, I'm just so jealous of what you're capable
I want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I have no patience to ever learn that at all. Or I would be a cake baker that never got fat.
Yeah, that was, I thought of that for a second too, and that was probably my thing. I was like, well, part of being a cake baker doesn't necessarily mean you just eat cake all the time, which is the part that I would want to do.
We've got to get a cake baker on here because I'm interested to know, how do you just avoid eating all the cake?
I guess you just like must not have a sweet tooth or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand how they do it either. Nope.
So, very interesting. So, but
wow.
We're looking forward to having some guests on some of our future shows. So make sure you subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, be in our Facebook group.
You're in our Facebook group. You comment, let us know, what do you want to hear about? What do you want us to talk about on future episodes? We take a lot of our episode questions straight from our Wedding Business Bosses group. So make sure you're super active in there so we can do a whole episode about your question.
About your question and what you're struggling with. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, to episode 6. We hope you've enjoyed our kind of tough lessons that we have learned in our business. And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.